Airsoft guns, we can rebuild them. We have the skills. We can make them stronger, faster, and better than they were before.
Hey guys, welcome back to Airsoft Extreme Tech Tips. I'm Jeremy. Today we're going to be talking about how to install a slide and a hammer spring into your 1911. I rate this a 3 out of 10 gears, fairly easy to do. It takes a little skill, but for the most part it's pretty easy. The tools required for this are going to be a hammer, a punch, and sometimes I like to use either a rubber band or some tape. Now remember, if you do any kind of modifications or upgrades yourself, you will void your warranty. Unless you're really sure and know what you're doing and everything, I would bring it to an Airsoft Extreme technician. Alright, so for this demonstration, we're going to be using the Tokyo Marui Night Warrior. What I like to usually do first in this process is to remove the slide first. So again, this right here. You use a punch or pen, whatnot. Sometimes this resets in, so you have to pop that out. Move that. Next, sort of the rubber band comes into play. You can also use tape. Basically, you want to secure the safety right here. Basically, there's a leaf spring that has these little fingers on it, and you don't want that to move or anything, or else if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a pain in the butt to get in to set back in there, basically. Put it around like so, just make sure that's down. All right, good. Next, let's get these guys out. Next, you want to remove, or the process I like to go in, so I want to remove the recoil spring first. So what you want to do is you want to pull this rod forward and then out. Basically the rod has a hole right here, sets into here, so it lines up properly. So remove that, slide the new one back on. In. It's gonna be kind of, you know, you kind of have to hold the spring here. Sometimes it'll want to kind of do that and everything. You don't want to kink the spring. So what I usually do is just kind of go like this, just kind of hold it into place, and then set that back up like so. There's also another way of doing this, find maybe a little bit easier, is there's actually this bushing or whatever they call this in here. This kind of makes it a little bit easier. Just if you slide this forward like so, basically cram that in there, line it up, and that's it. Set that aside. Next, the hammer spring. There's a pin right here that you have to punch out. One side has a little dimple or dent inside of it. That's the side you want to punch out. The punch sits in there better. The other side is rounded. You might scratch up your gun if you try to go that way. So find the dimpled part. Get your hammer, lightly tap that out. This comes out fairly easy. You just pop that out. Remember the spring tension behind this, it's going to want to pop down. And then slide that out. This is where the spring sits in. There's a little pin or stopper right here that you have to push forward. Kind of want to use somewhat of force, I guess you could say, with this. Because if you just move this forward and you're just kind of lightly doing it, this thing's going to want to pop up. So what I like to do is kind of push this, at the same time you're pushing this down, you want to kind of push that pin out. You don't really need a hammer or anything like that to pop it out. It's in there, it's not in there too tough, I guess you could say. Pops out, and you just release the spring. There's the old one. Get the new one. Slide this guy on. Slide that down. Then what you want to do is hold it. As you're pushing this down, once you get to that point where you're past this pin, you just push it in with your finger. So push this down, pop it in. That's it. Really easy to do. Make sure this is flush. So basically what this is right here, this is the hammer spring housing. So from that point, there's grooves on the sides right here. You want to line those up with the grooves right here. Also, there's this rod right here that you want that to go on the inside of this. That's basically what your hammer pushes up against into. That's where the tension is right there. So basically, slide that up. So you want to make sure this part right here is lining up in there. You can use kind of gravity, or you can use something to kind of line it up, like a punch, for instance. I find it a little bit quicker, just kind of once you get it to that point right there, just kind of turn it over, gravity kind of takes it down, and then that slides up. This can be a little tough right here. There's a couple ways of doing this. You can either set it down like so, put your pin in, or you can just kind of muscle it and push in like that. I find it easier. I don't know if you can see that. You're just pushing up against it like that. It's just easier to hold on to. Get your pin. Remember, there's a round side, there's a little dimpled side. Get the round side, slide it into place. And it slides in fairly easy. There are grooves on this, so it kind of holds into place a little bit better. Basically, you can get to that point. And once again, get your hammer, punch, just tap it into place. Make sure it's nice and flush. And that's that. Now you can remove the rubber band or the tape that you have on there. And go ahead and slide this guy back together. And there you go. And that's that. Thank you for watching Airsoft Extreme Tech Tips. I'm Jeremy. Have a good night.